Well, we are doing another Tuesday Wrestling with AEW Dark and Impact Wrestling, so I hope you guys are ready to watch this episode. Get yourself a soda and a candy bar, or some popcorns or nachos, and get ready to watch the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, many promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I'm your host J Rod here, so let's right now get in the start with AEW Dark. The first match of the day is a four-way match between Evil Uno of the Dark Order, uh, the Blade, Frankie Kazarian of SCU, and of course, Jungle Boy. So this is one of those four-way matches. Now, as you know, much of the AEW Dark they've been posting mostly jobber types events, but this time it's a little different. They decided to mix up jobbers with the top known stars in this event. But it was a good match. But apparently, much of the match you assumed that maybe Evil Uno and the Blade would align themselves, but of course Dark Order doesn't align themselves with anybody. They're their own people. They just do things their way. But the match was great, but I didn't knew who was gonna win it, and somehow I predicted it. I don't know why I did. It was Jungle Boy. So he picked up the victory, and of course, out of nowhere, here comes Dark Order members to give him a pounding, but here comes Christopher Daniels, and of course, Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt get with Marco with the kendo stick, giving a brief message to the Dark Order. So that's pretty much what happened in that first match. Next match is a tag team. So we have Lee Johnson and of course Caesar Bononi, who these guys have been teaming a lot, versus the Lucha Brothers. Now this is one of those jobber type matches, but you can guess who won. As always, is always going to be the Lucha Brothers because they're the top stars, and these guys are just jobbers in the whole thing while this pandemic is happening. So I don't have nothing against it, but it's a good match to watch anyway. Next match we have. This one is another rematch between Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon. Now, Brandon Cutler is had it with Peter Avalon, but when Brandon Cutler, before he was attacked by Peter Avalon from behind, he looked out to ringside to see if the Bucks were there, but they weren't. If you guys been following BTE, they've been dealing with the whole thing with Hangman, you know, being costing them the gauntlet match. Things with the Elite has been falling apart, but Brandon had to go out of the way. But this match was like, I don't know what kind of, but the story between Peter Avalon and Brandon Cutler, they're both winless. They have the most consecutive losses in AEW, but there have been times they teamed each other. They were close of winning. Of course, Peter decided to stab um, Brandon for everything. But the match didn't go exactly their way. But I feel sorry in this match for Leva Bates, who's caught in the middle of this. The match ended in double disqualification. So basically, Brandon Cutler used the book while Peter used that little thingy for Dungeons and Dragons. So basically, it's always been like that. So they're still winless. Sorry, guys. Next match, we have a very interesting match. We have Matt Sydal versus the Concrete Rose, Sonny Kiss. Now, this is one of those matches I like because if you guys don't know who Matt Sydal is, then you guys better follow him, Google him. You know what he's capable of. You guys are familiarized with him. He was known as Evan Bourne in WWE. He is an extraordinary wrestler, very high flyer. So this is a very good match to watch. I have to say I give this one an 8 because it showed two different dynamics of two different wrestlers. But it was enjoyable to watch. But I think in this one I was a bit biased because I wasn't sure how this match would end, but it ended with Matt Sydal applying his submission move to Sunny Kiss, allowing him to win. Joey Janela was right there too, watching, even though it was like that. So Matt Sydal picked up the victory on this particular match. Next match, we have a six-man tag team match: Aaron Solo, um, Angel Fashion, and Umbadu versus Dark Order members uh, Ale- um, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and Preston Vance. All of them 3, 4, and 10. So this was one of those matches where we're getting to see more of the Dark Order trying to step up as the faction that should be feared, because that's what they've been doing the entire time. But of course, they're still dealing with the disbelief that their leader, uh, Mr. Brody Lee, still lost the the match and the TNT Championship back to Cody. So they don't know what to make of it anyway. So it's still unquestioned. We haven't heard anything from Mr. Brody since they lost. But however, both Reynolds, um, Silver, and 10, they actually did a good job. They have an interesting new signature move I never seen before, but it was great to see it. So I have to say could be one of those teams that could be involved in the trios competition down the line in the future, which is something they talked about in the past, but we'll see how that goes. So Dark Order picked up the victory on this one. Next thing we have, Brandy Rhodes comes out doing commentary alongside with Excalibur and Taz. The reason she came out was because of the next match, which is a women's match. We have Elena Black versus Red Velvet. Now, the reason she came out, if you guys don't know this, Red Velvet has stirred things up. She's been in a match with Brandy Rhodes when she came back after she was initially attacked by Anna Jay, and of course, Anna Jay attacked her after her match against Tay Conti, and Anna Jay tries to take her out, but of course, Brandy Rhodes came out to give the save, and then of course during last week's brawl, basically Red Velvet came out to help Brandy to separate her from Anna Jay, returning a favor. So basically, appears that Brandy has now been looks like it's scouting for the new members for the Nightmare family, from what I can see. So basically, she's impressed by her. Now we're seeing certain wrestlers that were mostly jobbers now are being pushed. But for Red Velvet, it's still unclear what's her contract status with AEW. So if they're gonna sign her, they better think this through. But the match was great. You're seeing a bit of a more of aggressive side with Red Velvet, even though she knows what she's doing. But she did an amazing job with this sort of move. I don't know what it was, but it ended with her picking up the victory. So Red Velvet won match. Of course, Brandy is happy with that, and of course, we don't know where this will lead, but we'll see when the upcoming time that AEW has right now. So we'll see from there. Next match we have Fuego del Sol versus Ricky Starks. So basically, it's one of those matches where we know it's another jobber match, but I'll tell you anyway. Ricky Starks won as always, and then he ended up being on commentary for some parts of the night. Now, during the interview, there was an interview between Scorpio Sky and Daniels. Now, as you know, there have been some tensions between Sky and Spears. Spears did not like the fact that Sky showed up to help Matt Sydal because he felt that he had no right being there, and of course Tully was there. So they made an official match for next week for Christopher Daniels versus Sean Spears. So this is going to be interesting to see. So that's going to be, I think, next week on Dark. There's no way it's going to be for tomorrow or so. Now the next match, we have a tag team. We have Ryzen and Max Stardom versus the Gun Club. Another jobber type matches, we've seen, but I'll tell you anyway who won. This match was gone to the Gun Club, as always. So that's pretty much what happened. Now, the next match is another jobber match, which is Nick Komoroto versus Darby Allin. Basically, you guys can guess, Darby Allin won, but however, the post match was kind of interesting. He made a beeline towards Ricky Starks. So basically, there's still some unfinished business between Starks and Allin. So it was so crazy. So they separated both men away from each other. So we may see more feud going on between those two, and we'll just have to wait and see where they're gonna go. Next match we have Griff Garrison, as you know, who picked up his first victory last week on Dark, is facing off against Colt Boom Boom Cabana. So this is one of those matches where Colt is now throwing a different side of him. Basically, he was like that fun comedic wrestler that you enjoy, and now he's been a bit more aggressive. But the only person who was there by his side was Evil Uno because, as you know, Brody Lee does not allow Colt to see what he does when he's not looking. So basically, that's what it is. But he picked up the victory on this one. So we'll just wait and see what's going to happen more with Colt. If you guys are watching Being the Elite, he actually looks like Michael Nakazawa, which is funny. Let's see. We got the next match. We have Kaylin King versus Nyla Rose. Now, this match was set because of what happened in that brawl. As you recall, when Brody Lee showed up 2 weeks ago to take out Cody when he accepted the challenge for the Dark Collar match, we had Red Velvet and Kaylin King trying to separate Brandy from Anna Jay, but apparently Nyla Rose attacked her from behind without giving a care in the world that she had nothing to do with her. But of course, Nyla was making her statement. But much of the match on this one between King and Rose, it's always been dominant with Rose picking up the victory. But however, post match, Vicky Guerrero has said that she's sick and tired of not giving a better challenge. So she's demanding that Hikaru Shida accepts the challenge to put her title on the line against Nyla Rose. So this is one of those scenario matches we got to see. So it's still unclear who, because you got to remember of the rankings. I don't know who's number one I think I'm not sure. I got to look at the rankings, see how they're going to go. So that's pretty much what's happening. Now the next match we have D3 versus Joey Janela. As you know, another jobber type of setup, a squash match. So I'll tell you anyway, Joey Janela won. As always, the bad boy wins, as always. Next match, we have another squash match with another jobber. We have Elijah Dean versus Wardlow. Well, I don't have to tell you who won, but you can guess. It's Wardlow. And the same thing with Baron Black versus Eddie Kingston. Is Eddie Kingston who actually won the match. So basically, this particular AEW Dark has changed a little bit. They're throwing a more dynamic type of matches. Not just like majority of the time we've been seeing with them using just jobbers, but not this time. They're mixing it up, which is a good thing because we don't know how many wrestlers there are. Because as you know, certain international wrestlers aren't able to come. As you know, Rio is still stuck in Japan. Shayna is still stuck in France. Pac is still in the UK. So we'll just gotta wait and see where we're gonna go with that. So right now we're ending it right now with AEW Dark. So let's move on with Impact Wrestling. Okay, so we're about less than a week and a half away from Impact Wrestling's latest pay-per-view, Bound for Glory. So as you all know, it's all set. We have Rich Swann versus Eric Young for the Impact Wrestling World Championship. We have a four-way tag team title match between the Motor City Machine Guns, the Good Brothers, Ace Austin and Madman Fulton, and the North. The women's title is on the Impact. The Knockouts title is on the line between current champion Deonna Purrazzo and Kylie Ray. And the X Division match will be in a six-way scramble match with Rohit Raju, Trey Miguel, TJP, Chris Bay, Willie Mack, and Jordan Grace. And of course, we're having this little kind of interesting matchup called the Call Your Shot match, which is a very interesting match. So basically, it's like they're going to have people who specialize in either singles competitors, tag team, or knockouts. Whoever wins this match will pick a title of their choosing anytime, any place, anywhere. So basically, that's what's been going. Since we're now not that far from Bound for Glory, which is one of their best promotions, best pay-per-views they throw in. So let's talk with the first match. First match is a knockouts three-way tag team match between Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie versus Kara Hogan, Tasha Steelz versus Havoc and Nevaeh. So this is a very interesting matchup. Reason is Rosemary has been trying to get her hands, try to convince Havoc to do something, but however, Hogan and Steelz has been trying to tell Tasha, Taya Valkyrie, that she needs to butt out of Johnny Bravo's head. You know, trying to control him. They trying to get recognized to go to the wedding? So this is one of those three-way matches, but it was a good one. I have to say, I like this match. It was great to see it. Not to mention seeing the dynamic between Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie and all the others. I wasn't sure how this one was gonna go out. So basically, the way it ended is when Tasha Steelz had no clue whatsoever when she tried to jump, but there was a moment in the match where Taya Valkyrie jumped off the turnbuckle. She might have hit herself hard. I hope she's okay, but that was nasty. But like I said, Tasha Steelz trying to jump, but she didn't. Out of nowhere, the demon assassin Rosemary was waiting for her and speared her and then put her in the underhook, picking up a huge victory for her team. So that is great match. I have to say, best one I've seen so far. Now, we have a little segment where they had Johnny Bravo still trying to deal with the finance, but as you know, Fallah Bahh did something stupid. He stole the wads of cash from Hernandez. Instead of sharing this to Johnny E. Bravo, he decided to keep it for himself. But Crazy Steve was suspicious of him because he felt it. So it ended up with those two being in a match. So basically, and then at the end of that segment, cousin Jake was trying to dance, and they tried to tell him, no! So, I don't know what he was thinking. Now, Rose, as Havoc is still dealing with the loss, she gets a visit from Rosemary. Now, as you know, Rosemary's getting married to Johnny E. Bravo, but however, she needs someone to officiate the wedding, and she was considering having Father James Mitchell come back from the dead. But the only way to do that is to get Havoc to bring him back. Now, Havoc has a problem with it. However, she has no beef with Rosemary, but however, she does have a problem bringing. But she made a deal with her. She's put herself in a match next week, saying the stipulation: if Rosemary wins, she'll bring back Father James Mitchell. But however, if she wins, Havoc wins, then Father James Mitchell will remain at where he's at. So it's a very interesting match. So Rosemary took the deal. So I don't know if Rosemary has something up her sleeve, but we'll see where that goes next week. Now, as you know, when I mentioned about Fallah Bahh stole the wads of cash, Crazy Steve was suspicious of him at every turn of the moment of this match. He knew he had the wad of cash that he stole from Hernandez. He was trying to get a hold of it, but what he does, he takes off his shirt or rip it off, and of course, he's exposed to it. Now, Fallah Bahh was not worried about losing the match. He was worried not to expose himself with the wads of cash. So basically, it's out. His little scheme is out of the bag. And he does. I don't know what Hernandez is going to do, but we'll see how that goes. Now, as you all know, Heath has been trying to get a contract with Impact for a while, but somehow Rhino convinced D'Amore give him a shot. So what he had in mind, they put them in that 20-man match for the Call Your Shot match. However, there was the stipulations that D'Amore said. If either Rhino or Heath wins the match, Heath gets a contract. But however, if Heath doesn't get it, then he doesn't. But what he doesn't know, as soon as he left, D'Amore talked to him. He said, tell him, does he know the other part of the stipulation? What he doesn't know, that if Rhino loses, he is no longer working with Impact. So basically, his career is on the line. So he refused to tell him that. But of course, we're gonna see what's gonna happen when we get to Bound for Glory. Now, next match is the people who will fight for the right for the 20th spot of the Call Your Shot match, kind of like the Royal Rumble, where you're trying to see if you can be the last entrant at number 30. So the first team is Tennille Dashwood, Tommy Dreamer, Brian Myers, Cody Deaner, and of course Johnny Swinger versus Hernandez, Cousin Jake, Alicia, Rhino, and Heath. Now you probably ask yourselves, why is the Deaners separated? Don't ask me, but it was great. Even though they don't want to face each other, but they had the privilege to face ECW legends. We're talking about cousin Cody Deaner was right in front of Rhino, and then we had Cousin Jake in front of Dreamer. So that's pretty much what's been going on in the entire matchup. So basically, that's what's been going. Now, as you don't know, Tennille Dashwood has been more concerned about her good looks. She stepped out of the ring, unaware of what's been happening in the mayhem. So apparently, the match ended with um, Heath applying his move, taking out Johnny Swinger, and giving the win to his team. Now, however, in this particular match, the winners of the match will face off in a 5-way for the right to win the 20th spot in the Call Your Shot match. So it's going to be Hernandez, Cousin Jake, Alicia, and of course Rhino and Heath. So whoever wins that match will be number 20 in the Call Your Shot match. So that's pretty much a very interesting match. I can't wait to see when it comes in. Now, during in backstage, Eddie Edwards still is waiting for Sammy. He was looking for him, trying to deal with him. As you know, somehow Sammy and Ken Shamrock are now aligned with each other. But the entire time, he lost control. Shamrock applied the ankle lock right at Eddie Edwards and tried to break him, while Sammy has a cell phone, kind of like this, videotaping the whole thing. So that's what he's been doing. So it's still unclear what's going to happen, but it's been told they are going to face Eddie Edwards will face Ken Shamrock at Bound for Glory. But however, Eddie Edwards will face Sami Callihan next week. So very interesting thing that took place for this one. Next match, as we all know, this is more of a warm-up. Kimberly, along with the Ana Purrazzo, the Knockouts champion, versus Kylie Ray. So as you know, Kylie Ray hasn't forgotten what Deonna Purrazzo did to her best friend Susie. But now you're seeing a bit of aggressiveness with Kylie Ray because she's mad that they tried to break Susie's arm. But the moment she was being more aggressive, the more it was allowing her to win. And I don't think Kimberly was expecting this. I don't know if antagonizing her was a good idea. Even though when Kylie Ray applied her submission move and won the match that way, she wouldn't let her go. And Deonna Purrazzo tried to break it. But the way I wouldn't be surprised at Bound for Glory if Su Yung shows up and Kylie Ray just accepts her. I don't know exactly how they're going to pull that off, if that's the case, but I can't wait. So basically, we're ready to go for Deonna Purrazzo versus Kylie Ray for the Impact Knockouts Championship. So that's coming up soon, in less than a week away. Next match, we have the Battle of the Giants. This is one of those matches that I think fans would want to see. We have the Big LG, Doug Gallows, alongside with his good brother member, Carl Anderson, versus Madman Fulton alongside with Ace Austin. Now, this match started out okay with the traditional style, but however, it ended up in a brawl outside the ring. They went double count out. But however, they decided to continue on the match during the commercial breaks to allow have the match keep running in a No disqualification, no count out whatsoever. It was a brutal match. It was more hardcore, using tables, whatever objects they can get. And I was like, dang, this is going to be one of the brutal matches that these guys will have to face. So it was great to see two big guys face off against each other. I'm so happy that that happened. But of course, the match ended with Doc Gallows putting Madman Fulton through two seats, and allowing himself to win the match. So this is going to be an interesting. So those two teams will now face off at Bound for Glory. So we're getting close and close to that. Now, the next thing we have is Eric Young. As you know, Eric Young believes that what he did to Rich Swann was good for him. That he gave him a way out. That he did what was best for him. Uh, if you recall what happened in Slammiversary, he attacked him, tried to break his ankle, and then Rich Swann trying to get better again. So they've been waiting for. So Eric Young thinks that the fans know Rich Swann's done, that that's what he wants to hear. But however, the Moore does not like the attitude of him. He asks, "Who are you? What happened to you? I remember that same kid I knew years ago." So basically, Eric Young is like saying that that person is done. He doesn't care. It's his time now. It's his world. But however, the Moore told him that Rich Swann is going to continue to face off against Eric Young. Eric was not happy. He was saying, "This is your fault. This is You should have done what you're told." So basically, he did not want to face Rich Swann. But out of nowhere, he tries to break the Moore's ankle. But this is where it's going to be interesting. I have a feeling the Moore's going to get involved in the match to ensure Rich Swann wins the match. Because he believed in Eric Young years ago, and now he doesn't know what to think of him. So it could end with Rich Swann winning. So we're just got to wait and see when we're less than a week away from Bound for Glory. So it ended right there. But however, it did not end it with the show. Moose finally found EC3, telling him that you're nothing but a false champion. This champion doesn't mean nothing. It's all a lie. Moose believes that he is a champion regardless. So basically, they're going to face off in an undisclosed location, saying that he will destroy the title. So basically, Moose thinks he's a god. He thinks that he's a wrestler. And he beat Sensley EC3, thinking that he is going to, that it's his title. He's going to make a point that he is the best wrestler in the world. But we'll see what happens, because the match that both Moose and EC3 is going to take place in an undisclosed location. So I'm excited for that. So hope you guys are ready. Within less than a week and a half away from Bound for Glory, I'm gonna watch it when it comes out. So right now I'm ending the show early because I'm gonna do more reviewing, watching the continuation of the G1. As you know, we're getting closer and closer and closer to the end, and of course I'm excited for AEW Dynamite for celebrating their 1-year anniversary, and of course what's going to happen in NXT for the Wednesday Night War. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.